This is Daf Yomi, Sanhedrin 21, and it was today's Daf, but it's a very big Daf, and I might do it in many parts, many small parts, and Sanhedrin 21 with the word Vayimshechu, Lashem Lenagid, Uletzadok. Makish Nagil Tzadok, Mat Tzadok Mechzalo Mechzale Achiv, Af Nagid Mechzalo Mechzale Achiv. And they made Solomon, son of David, king the second time, and anointed him unto the Lord to be leader, and Sadok to be priest. 1 Chronicles 29:22. This verse compares a leader, referring to King Solomon, to Tzadok, the high priest. Just as for Tzadok, half of the showbread given to the priest is for him, the high priest, and half is for all his brothers, the other priests, so too, for the leader, half is for him, and half is for his brothers, the rest of the army. V'tzadok gufe minalan, D'Tanya, Rabbi Omer, v'hayta la'Aharon u'levanav, mechetze la'Aharon u'mechetze levanav. The Gemara asks, and with regard to Tzadok himself, from where do we derive that the high priest takes half? The Gemara responds, as it is taught in a Braita. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says, the Torah states with regard to the apportionment of the showbread, and it shall be for Aaron and his sons, and they shall eat it in a holy place, Leviticus 24 verse 9, from which it is inferred half for Aaron and half for his sons, and that's the end of that new Mishnah. Lo yar belo nashim, the Mishnah says, Lo yar belo nashim, a king should not add many wives, increase many wives. Ela, Shmona Esre, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mar behu lo, Vilvad, Shelo Yehu, Mesirot et libo. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Afilu Achat, Umesira et libo, Hareze lo yisiena. Im kein lama nemar lo yar velo nashim, Te'afilu ke'avigail. The Mishnah says, the king shall not add many wives for himself. Deuteronomy 17:17. But only 18. Rabbi Yehuda says, he may add many wives for himself, provided that they are not like those who turn his heart away from the reverence for God. Rabbi Shimon says, even if he wants to marry only one wife, if she turns his heart away, he should not marry her. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but anyway, no one should marry a wife who turns his heart away at any time, not just a king. At any rate, this is what he said. If so, why is it stated he shall not add many wives for himself? This teaches that even his wives are like Abigail. Even if his wives are like Abigail, who was righteous and prevented David from sin. See 1 Samuel chapter 25. It is prohibited for him to have many wives. Okay. Zok de Hilig Talmud. The Gemara says, Lememra de Rabbi Yehuda Darish Ta'ama Dikra V'Rabbi Shimon Lo Darish Ta'ama Dikra V'ha Ipcha Shamina Lahu. The Gemara asks, is this to say that Rabbi Yehuda interprets the rationale behind the mitzvah in the verse and draws halachic conclusions based on that interpretation? Rabbi Shimon does not interpret the rationale in the verse, but didn't we hear them hold the opposite opinions with regard to interpreting the rationale behind a mitzvah in a verse? Tanya almana ben shehi aniya ben shehi ashira en remashkinan ota. Shne'emar לא תחבול בגד אלמנה. תפרי רבי יהודה. רבי שמעון אומר, עשירה, ממשכנין אותה, ענייה, אין ממשכנין אותה. ואתה חייב להחזיר לה, ואתה מסיעה שמרה ושכנותיה. As it is taught in the Braita to Sepsim Mitzia 10:3, in the case of a widow, whether she is poor or whether she is wealthy, one may not take collateral from her for a loan, as it is stated. You may not take the garment of a widow for a pledge. Deuteronomy 24:17. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon says, in the case of a wealthy widow, one may take collateral from her. But in the case of a poor widow, one may not take collateral from her because you are obligated to return it to her, and you will give her a bad name among her neighbors. Okay. V'amrinan. I think we'll go to V'amrinan Maika Amar. Hachi Kamar. Mitoch shata mimashkina. אתה חייב להחזיר לה. ותם פסיעה שמרה בשכנותיה. עלמה, רבי יהודה לא דריש תמה דקרא, רבי שמעון דריש תמה דקרא. When we say about this dispute, what is Rabbi Shimon saying? This is what he's saying. Because you take collateral from her, you are required to return it to her, as the verse states. And if he is a poor person, you shall not sleep with his pledge. You shall restore the pledge to him when the sun goes down. Deuteronomy 24:12. Deuteronomy 24:12-13. And you thereby give her a bad name among her neighbors, who will suspect licentious behavior when they see a man come to her house every morning and evening. Evidently, according to this dispute, Rabbi Yehuda does not interpret the rationale in the verse, and Rabbi Shimon does interpret the rationale in the verse. Okay. בעלמא רבי יהודה לא דרש תמה דקרא ושאני הכה ומפרש תמה דקרא מה הטעם לא ירבה נשים משום דלא יאסור לבבו. The Gemara explains generally Rabbi Yehuda does not interpret the rationale in the verse, but it is different here as the verse itself explains the rationale in the verse. What is the reason? That he shall not add many wives for himself. He should not add many wives because of what is articulated in the continuation of the verse. His heart should not turn. Rabbi Shimon amar lach michdi be'alma darshina ta'ama dikra im ken lechtov kra lo yarbe lo nashim v'lishtok be'ana amena matam לא ירבה משום דלא יסור. לא יסור, למה לי? אפילו אחת ומסירה את ליבו, הרי זו לא ישאנה, אלא מה אני מקיים לא ירבה, תאפילו כאביגיל. Rabbi Shimon could have said to you, since generally we interpret the rationale in the verse, then if it is so that the prohibition against marrying many wives applies only to wives that are likely to lead his heart astray, the verse should write only, he shall not add many wives for himself, and then be silent. In that case, I would say on my own, what is the reason that he shall not add many wives? It is so that his heart shall not turn astray. Accordingly, why do I need the additional phrase, his heart should not turn away. It serves to teach another halacha, that even if he wants to marry only one wife, if she turns his heart away, he should not marry her. But then how do I realize the meaning of the verse? He shall not have many wives. It means that he should not have many wives, even if they are like Abigail. I think we'll stop that here for now. This is Sanhedrin 21, Part 1. To continue